So this is going to be the demo that I wrote for the Memphis Python group for 2024, September 2024. It is a command line application that uses several packages, namely rich and or click and rich, to implement a very simple cryptocurrency portfolio manager command line application. The packages that are required, that are not included with the standard library, are going to be click, which handles the command line functionality requests. We're going to make requests to a service called CoinGecko in order to retrieve real-time prices. Rich is going to format the output of the command line application, and then SQLAlchemy, which we're not going to get into in this video, but SQLAlchemy is an ORM that we'll use to work with a database in a later video. Now, I've already got these installed here, but in the GitHub repo, what you would do is you would go to command line and you would type pip install -r. That's -r for a requirements file. In this case, it's called requirements.txt. This is a convention that's used. And again, like I said, it's going to say that the requirements are already satisfied, but if they weren't, it would install them and any of their dependencies. Okay, so first thing I want to do here is go ahead and get started with the functionality that is needed to retrieve a price. So I'm going to need an API endpoint. In CoinGecko, we're using a public API endpoint here that is free to use. You don't even have to register to get an API key. It does have fairly low usage allowance, but fairly low quota. But for the purpose of this application, it's definitely going to work. So I've got it actually over here on another screen, so I'm going to copy it so I don't have to fat finger it. And I'll put it in a constant called CoinGecko URL. All right. Now what I need to do is I'm going to use requests to call this API endpoint. So I will import requests. And down here, I will use requests to make a GET request to the CoinGecko URL. Now, this API endpoint, this expects two parameters. One called IDs, which is a comma-separated string of coin names for which you want to retrieve the prices. And then another one called VS currencies, which is another comma-separated list of abbreviations for currency, such as USD for US dollars, GBP for Great British pounds, and so on, the currencies in which you want to retrieve the prices in. These would normally be appended to the URL in the query string. However, request makes this very easy with the params keyword, and then you simply pass the key value pairs in a dictionary. So I'll say IDs. And we'll just start off with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then VS currencies. We'll just use a single one for this demo. USD. Now this is going to return a response. And fix my indentation error there. And this response will be in JSON, or the response will contain JSON data with the prices of the coins and the various currencies that were requested. And familiar with JSON and Python, you know that JSON objects convert very well to Python dictionaries. So we can do that with the JSON method of the response. So data will be a Python dictionary, and we can just print data to see that. Okay, let's run this and see what we get. All right, so here's what we get down here. So you can see it returned a dictionary. The keys of that dictionary are the IDs of the coins. Each of those keys has a value, which is another dictionary. And in there will be a key for each currency and the values of each of those keys will be the prices of the coins in that currency. So in other words, Bitcoin is worth, at this time, 58,328 US dollars. Ethereum is worth 2,292 US dollars and 91 cents. All right, we're going to be using this regularly throughout the demo. So let's put it into a function. So I'll say def, and call this get, coin values. And I want to be able to parameterize this. So I'll say I'm going to pass in a list of coins, or a comma separated string of coins, and a currency that will default to United States dollars. All right. So what I'll want to do is I can simply replace this with coins, and not coin D, coins, and replace this with currency. Now in the entry point, I'll say if name equals main, and I will call get coin values, and let's call it this time with, let's say, Solana and Dogecoin, and then for the currency we'll say Great British Pounds. Okay, let's run this. Okay, so now we have Dogecoin and Solana in Great British Pounds. We have enough now that we can actually begin to create the command line application using Click. So first thing I'll do is I will import the Click module, and I'm going to create so what we're going to do is we're going to add to the application different commands that we can call in the command line. This will be more clear once we actually start to implement it. But one of the ways that we can get multiple commands into an application is to put them into a Click group. Now, this could be a little bit abstract in some ways, but it's pretty much boilerplate. A Click group is merely going to be, in this case, a function that is decorated with the Click group decorator. So let's see what that means. So we have the click.group decorator, and then we're going to have a function. By convention, it's called CLI. You can do initialization logic in here, but for today, we just need a group, so we can add commands to the group, and so we're just going to do nothing. Then I can create the actual command. Now, a command is also nothing more than a function that is decorated with the click.command decorator. So I'll create this function here, and I'll call it lookup coin. And I'm just going to have it call get coin values and print them out. Now, like I said, I need to decorate this with the click.command decorator, and then I need to add this command to the group. So I can say CLI.add command lookup coin. Now, instead of calling this function, I need to call CLI in the entry point. And I can now, at the command line, I can invoke this at the command line saying python manager.py, and what are we going to get back? So we're going to get back this help text that that we get for free by using Click, and it's going to say, okay, you need to pass me a command of some kind. You got options, which are of course optional, and in this case there's only one. We'll add some more here in a minute. Then that one just shows this particular message. But also notice that there's a command, lookup coin. This was added because we added the lookup coin function as a command. Notice that by default, you can change this with keyword arguments if you want to, but by default, the name of the command is going to be the name of the function, except notice that the underscore has been replaced with a hyphen. Okay, so I could instead say python manager.py and lookup coin, and we're going to again get back that exact same, or similar text because the prices, similar object because the prices change rapidly. Now, what if we want to parameterize the command itself? So one of the things I would want to do is I want to, say, pass a particular coin as an argument to this command. Well, I can do that using the click.argument decorator. And I'll call that coin. That argument is going to be called coin. And then that will make the function expect a parameter of the same name. So then what I would do is I would pass coin into here. And now I can do something, with the currency as well. So the currency, I want to make that optional. So I'll use the option. Options begin with 2 dashes, say currency. But since I want this to be optional, I need to have a default value for in case it's omitted. And so I'll see the default value is going to be USD. That's also going to make the function expect a currency. And then I can pass that to the getCoins values function. Okay. Now I need to make a slight change to getCoin values. Because if I pass a string, actually, this will still work in this case. We'll actually have to change it here in a minute. I think this will still work. Let's find out. So let's say lookup coin, and I'll pass it just Bitcoin, and I should get back, yeah, Bitcoin in USD. However, if I say Bitcoin in AUD, oops, actually, sorry, I have to say currency and then pass it AUD, and it'll give you back Bitcoin in AUD, in Australian dollars. Okay. Now is when I actually need to change how getCoin values works. Well, I don't have to, but I am going to want to use this eventually to get multiple coin values. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say coins could be a list of strings representing coin IDs. And then what I would want to do in that case is I could just join them using the string.join command or method. However, instead, if it's a string, if I do that with a string, what it's going to do is it's going to take the individual letters of the strings and join them together. So I'm going to say if not is instance of coins list. In other words, in this case, we'll assume that coins is going to be just a single string. Otherwise, in that case, I'm going to take an IDs variable and I'm just going to assign it coins. Otherwise, IDs is going to be equal to, I'm going to call join on a comma string, and then pass it coins, and this will give me that comma separated list. So now all I need to do is put IDs in here. All right. And we can test this real quick. Make sure this still works. Yes, it still works. Okay, great. This actually will come in useful in the second part of this, second or maybe even third part of this series. But also, what I want to do is I want to, instead of printing the data, I want to return the data from the coin value data from this function, because I'm going to use it inside of the command. And I'm going to use it inside the command to format output using, again, rich. So there's several things I'm going to need from, several submodules I'm going to need from rich. I'll say rich from rich.console, import console. And this is what's going to be used to actually render the output. Then I want something called a panel. You'll see what that is here in a minute. And then in order to format text, I want to get the text object or text class. Now I'm going to be going down here, and first thing I'll do is I'll create one of those panels. And the panel is basically a container for other content, which would just be a line of text in this case. But I'll create one by creating a new panel. And then at a minimum, what it needs, it just needs some text to render. So I'll use an F string here, and I'll say the current price of coin is, and I need to say coin values, and to get the coin, and then the currency inside of that to get the value. And then I'll display the currency as well. Then I can give it a title. Just say something like coin prices. I'm going to change that in a minute. And then I need to get an instance of this console to use it to print the panel. I'm going to be using that quite a bit, so I'll just create a instance up here and we can reuse it. All right, now I can say console.print panel, and if I run this now, you'll see that we have our text with the price of the coin, and it also has put it inside of this panel, which has this line, this border around it, and the title up here at the top. But there's more. I can actually format this text for the title and the message, and I can do that using the text class. So what I'll do is I'll say message equals text, and let's see here, let's just do this for right now. We'll pull that out, and now I can give this a style. And the style, the different way, the syntax for the styles and the different values for the styles you can find in the documentation. But for right now, I'm just going to say bold green text. And then instead of the formatted string, I'll pass this text, I'll pass this message instead. So now if I run this, you see that is formatted with bold green text. I could do the same thing with the title. So I could say the title is equal to text. And let's see here. This time what I want to do, let's get this one. And let's format that. And let's format this as bold blue, I guess. Yeah, bold blue. Actually, I think I can do it. Let's do italic red. I think that'll work. And then this here, I just want to have only the value and the currency. And then for the title, I'll just say title. And yeah, there we go. So here's the title in italic red, and here is the value in bold green. And that's pretty much the basics of using rich and click together. There's more that can be done, but I'm not going to do it in this video. I'll do it in a later one in which we will hook up the database using SQLAlchemy.